Everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. Please like, favourite, and subscribe. We're here to talk about the Man United Newcastle game and even the bigger issue at the club at the moment, and that is, are we in a relegation battle or will we even get relegated? And I want to go straight into Ruben Amorim's quotes after the game, where he said basically that the club needs a shock. I mean, to me, that sounds like coming from the manager's mouth that he knows none of these players are good enough and the whole club needs a shafting. And Ralph Rangnick said it, 3-4 years ago, and Ruben Amorim's saying it again. The question is, will Amorim stay long enough to see change? But to me, that one quote there, that the club needs a shock, to me says that Amorim will stick by what he's doing. And if we go down, we go down. And there'll be a clear out because loads of these players will have relegation clauses in their contracts, and it'll be an easy way to get rid of a lot of them. And if we went down, we would spend money, we would come straight back up. Maybe that's what Amorim's thinking. Maybe that's just me thinking that it's an easy way to get rid of a lot of players who will have contracts about relegation, and they'll be out the door easily if that happened. I mean, we're 14th in the league now. I've got the table up here. -5 goal difference, lost 9 games, drawn 4 and won 6. It's an absolutely horrendous record. And there's only Palace behind us and Everton and Wolves who've come into a bit of form. The only saving grace we've got probably is that Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich are that bad that it's unlikely they will catch us. We'll surely get the odd point here and there, which will keep us above them 3. I don't think we will actually be relegated. That would be incredible. But we could easily finish where we are now, 13th, 14th, or at least below 12th. I've said it before, we've got Liverpool next. Liverpool will not give up after they go 2-0 up. Newcastle last night, probably for the first half really, absolutely demolished us, smashed us to pieces. And I think if they really wanted to, they could have kept running and it would have been 4-5-6. They obviously just went 2 up, got to half time, kept the lead, conserved their energy for the next game and took the win and waltzed out of Old Trafford like they turned up at a Sunday League game. It was a joke. The difference is Liverpool won't do that. There's got to be a reaction to the Liverpool game, because if we play Liverpool and roll up like we've just rolled up there, we are getting battered. And by battered, I mean battered. Is it at home or away, the Liverpool game? It's away as well at Anfield. Obviously, we'll have Bruno back and Agate. Clearly, we've seen why we need Agate, and I've said it before, I don't think Agate's anything special. He just stands out in this squad because he's one of the players that actually puts a bit of effort in, runs around and wins the ball back. But he ain't good enough to take us to where we want to be. But he's got to play at the minute. And I would be playing him with somebody. I'd probably play him with... I mean, I was saying the other day that I'd go back to the Casemiro-Ugarte pivot, but Casemiro was shocking yesterday. I honestly would play Collier. I'd play Collier and Ugarte in the pivot and get them both to sit in, especially against Liverpool, because we're not going to be doing anything against Liverpool at Anfield. So surely the one thing before we even go into that game is don't get battered by 6. Yeah, on the relegation thing, again, Amorim said that he will stick by his philosophy because that's what he was brought in for, and it will either work or he will be sacked. So there is no chance of Amorim going to a back 4 There's no chance of him going to a 4-2-3-1, what people are saying. And let's not pretend, everybody, in the previous managers that 4 at the back was working. We were, 10th, 11th, 12th before Amarin took over. So going 4 at the back doesn't actually make us any better. The only thing it probably does is allow him to use more of the squad in positions that they're used to. But we were still losing games, so it makes no difference. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day coming, and I thought like last season when we finished 8th under Ten Hag was horrific. Obviously, we've had half this season under Ten Hag, and it was abysmal. And now we are 15th under Amarin, and Amarin takes no blame for this whatsoever. I just hope that he carries on and the players end up out the door and he can buy who he wants to buy. But he's also said in his post-match press conference that there's very little money in January. So if we need money in January to fix this squad and somebody comes for Garnacho for 50, 60 million quid, he's gone. Because he ain't playing under Amarin. He's out the door. If somebody comes and offers us that money, send him. Same with Rashford. If you're getting 20, 30 million quid for Rashford, get him out the door and buy someone that you want, that fits the system, that's going to help him at least get us up the league. I mean, Europe is completely out of sight at the minute. Europa League is the only hope. But can we focus on the Europa League to win it when we're nearly in a relegation battle and we need points in the Premier League? If we were a comfortable 6th, 7th, 8th in the league, you could focus on the Europa League. But can you focus on the Europa League when you might go down? When you're playing on a Thursday night and then you get to a Sunday and you need a win and you're knackered from the Thursday, I think it'll be very difficult for us to win the Europa League. And I know people say we should win it. There's other good teams in that, Spurs, whoever else. Spurs have already beaten us. They could easily beat us again. I think it'd be a very, very tough ask to win the Europa League. We're going to finish below 10th with no trophies. We're already out the Carabao. We'll be out of the FA Cup when we play Arsenal in a week or so's time. We're in 14th in the league and we basically just about scraping through the Europa League to get into the top 8. It is an absolute disaster. And I just want to talk about Ineos as well, because there's a lot of talk about Ineos and how much of a joke they are with raising ticket prices, cutting charity stuff, cutting people's jobs. I mean, they've gone into a club that's £800 million in debt. They've put 1.5 billion in to buy their share. They've put 300 million quid into the club out of his own pocket. He wants to see some results and there ain't none. And the mistakes I would say they've made is keeping Ten Hag after the FA Cup. That's cost them a fortune in getting rid of Ten Hag, getting rid of his staff, getting Amarin in and his staff in. Probably not selling Rashford in the summer when they should have and they kept hold of him. The Dan Ashworth saga, that's cost him at least probably 10 million to get him out of Newcastle and then pay him off. And then there's all the other stuff which people say is trivial, but the cost-cutting thing is the cost-cutting thing. It's what happens in a massive business. If Man United is a huge business at the end of the day, redundancies and stuff happen. It ain't nice, nobody likes it, whatever, but there's a restructure going on clearly to cost cut, and unfortunately, it's the people at the bottom that take the sting. And it happens in every single business that goes on around the world. It's not just Man United doing this. It'll be every large company on the planet has restructures and cuts people at the bottom. Because the most expensive thing in a business is people. And that's just a fact. The charity thing for 40 grand a year, I think is a joke. I think, and I actually do think the current players should be paying for that because it will look after them when they're old if they ever need anything. It's 40 grand a year. You've got Rashford, Casemiro, Bruno, Mount on £200,000-300,000 a week. And they're cutting off charity for veterans of the club who got us to where we are. I just think I don't actually think the club should be paying it. It should be subsidised by the players. It's what, £100 a month for the 26-man squad. Would cover it nearly. £100 a month when they're on 300 grand a week. It's an absolute joke. So I think that should be covered by the players anyway and not the club. The ticket price rise thing, we'll see where this goes. Obviously, they put it up to £66 a game. Obviously, this is for members where season ticket holders and everyone give the tickets back. Then you pay £66. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you go to a gig or something, a one-off gig, they're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 quid a ticket. You can sort of understand it, but not putting the kids' tickets and OAP tickets up to the same. If you're going to a one-off game with your mates or whatever, £66 I don't think is that bad. If you're a season ticket holder or something, it was £66 a game, or you go every week and it's £66 a game. It's a lot of money. It's a big uptake, but obviously these tickets are tickets that are unsold, so they're selling them for £66 to random people who go. The crux of the matter will be what happens when we go into next season. Are they going to raise all tickets to that level? Because if they raise all tickets to that level, or put a substantial amount on top of a season ticket, then I think you see massive uproar from the fan base, because you cannot be playing on the pitch like we are and doubling the ticket price for everyone. It's an absolute joke. Other than that, I mean, Ineos have come in. They're getting this is a thing I've seen on the United stand in the main, blaming Ineos for where we are at the minute because they could have said they didn't want Man United and let Qatar have it. Well, it's not Ineos' fault. That's the Glazers' fault. The Glazers agreed a deal with Jim and not Qatar. That is not on Ineos. You can't blame Ineos for putting a bid in and the owner accepting it. I think they have got in there and they've realised that the club needs tearing up from the top to the bottom. I think they've obviously underestimated how much work actually needed to be done. I think they thought they'd go in there, they'd probably get a new manager, they'd buy 3 or 4 players, and we'd be back competing in the top 4, and they could focus on the development of the stadium. I think the stadium's miles off because we probably need another $500 million, $1 billion putting into the playing squad before we go anywhere near a new stadium. Will they take over the Glazers completely? Who knows? I think some people say that's still in the plan. But if they've got to cough up £1 billion for players, where are they getting another £1 billion to buy the other 25-30% off the Glazers? So I just wanted to address that because it's not Ineos' fault where we are. It's the Glazers' fault. And with there shouldn't be an Ineos out. It should be Glazers out. They are the ones who've put us in this position. Jim and everyone's getting a bad rap for doing all of the cost cutting in the harsh, ruthless stuff around the club at the minute because the people in charge prior to him didn't have the balls to do it. So now he's the one taking the fall for trying to stabilise the club. But yeah, I mean, Liverpool next. That at Anfield, like I've already said, if we go out and play anything like we have last night against Newcastle, it could be an absolute hiding. 5, 6, 7 again, easily. And obviously Bruno will be back, and I've got to mention Bruno because the United Standard game, we were 20 minutes into that game and they're saying we miss Bruno. Honestly, right? If Bruno was on that pitch yesterday, what's different? Absolutely nothing. What would he have done in that game to make the outcome any different? We would have still lost the ball all the time. He probably would have been playing in the pivot. He'd have been running around doing next to nothing. Obviously, him and Agate will be back versus Liverpool, I would have thought. At least it'll give us a bit more legs in the midfield. But it won't change anything. We're so poor. 2 crosses again last night. Shocking defending back. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention Martinez at the end of this video. Absolutely awful for both goals again. There's people blaming Maguire for the first one. The ball goes over his head. Martinez has got to be closer in contact with Isaac, and he's not. He's 4 or 5 yards off him and just lets him head it in. The second one, he's just not strong enough, is he? He's running with Joe Linton. And again, for the umpteenth time in Martinez's career, someone who's physically bigger than him just goes, nah, mate, get off me. Heads it in. He's like a kid. I can't believe he was captain last night. I'd have given the captaincy to Maguire. Martinez is absolutely atrocious. Delo is getting hammered and pelters left, right and centre, but Martinez is as bad. And we're relying on him to stop our set piece and crossing issues when he's too small to get his head on anything. And that is all I want to say for today. We will get on to the next one, probably after the Liverpool game. But I'm predicting 3-0 to Liverpool. Comfortable, easy win that could be 6 or 7, but they'll probably take the foot off the gas a bit and don't absolutely smash us. But I also wouldn't put it past them, been relentless to the end, and it'd been 5 or 6. There is no way we're getting anything out of that Liverpool game. Salah is going to go there and he's going to tear Martinez apart. I don't even want to think about it. Martinez is going to get hammered. Absolutely destroyed by Salah. So, on that note, hit the like, favourite and subscribe, and I'll be back on the next one.